We're back with a Fox News alert. New video of the damage done by Hamas. Here's a house in southern Israel hit by a rocket earlier today. You could see Israeli forces rushing in to try to help. People are outraged at some of the mainstream media's portrayal of the war, like this op-ed from the Washington Post titled, "We cannot stand by and watch Israel commit atrocities." There are concerns, too, that the facts of what happened are getting in the way of the media's narrative. So says Ben Shapiro, who is coming up tonight on Life, Liberty, and Levin.
It's absolutely despicable. I mean, the American media, again, has drawn a moral parity between Israel and its enemies for decades at this point. They pretend that what Hamas really wants, it's a territorial dispute, or the PA, it's a territorial dispute, or Islamic Jihad. They literally say to your face, this is the part that's astonishing. And the entire American media looks the other way and pretends it's not happening when it comes to this particular conflict. Maybe the only conflict where the media does this. When it comes to this particular conflict, the media has decided in their heads that the Western country has to be wrong by nature. It's just wrong by nature. And because it's wrong by nature, that means that anything that happens to that country must inevitably have been caused by the quote-unquote occupation. And even if the people getting slaughtered are disproportionately people of the political left, which is exactly what happened at this electronic dance music festival, doesn't matter to them at all. The facts are completely irrelevant to the narrative.
That full interview is coming up tonight at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern on Life, Liberty, and Levin. So the media narrative is changing. It's becoming a little bit more divisive and critical of Israel's response. And the Anti-Defamation League CEO today came on Fox News and said that while every single life matters, obviously, the accountability of Palestinian deaths lies solely on Hamas. I'm paraphrasing this. And he is worried that the world is going to turn against Israel and forget what led to this. Will, I'll come to you first. I mean, this is an impossible situation for Israel.
It's an impossible situation for Israel when it meets the American media. It's impossible to get a fair trial from the American media because the American media is a mirror, or it's the other side of the coin of what's happening in the American university system. They see everything through the lens of decolonization. They see everything through the lens that there is such a thing, and there is not such a thing, as stolen land. And people think you've hit terminal velocity when you bring up Marxism. But it is, if you understand history, it really does go back to a Marxist ideology that forces a view on the world between oppressor and oppressed. And if you can find the oppressed, you've found the champion. That's your party to champion. If you can identify the oppressor, then you can really get away with any manner of sin. Clearly, we see in this case. Karen Attiah, who is the op-ed or was the op-ed editor at the Washington Post, retweeted someone who said, "What do you think decolonization was going to mean? Papers, essays?" Essentially saying, and this was after the terror attack, essentially saying this is what it means to decolonize. So if you believe the world is full of oppressors and oppressed, you can get away with, and this is the American media, you can get away with forgiving horrific things, as we saw 1 week ago.
Oh, Sara, you want to jump in?
I do. I need to jump in because it is what Ben Shapiro said, absolutely unfathomable and disgusting. Those children were killed, innocent lives, blood was spilled without any consideration. It wasn't as if there was a battle going on and there was a bomb. They purposefully went in and took the lives of these innocent people. And I want to bring something up. These, and I agree with you, Will, these leftist professors, progressives, teaching this colonization and Marxist rhetoric, why don't they teach that when Hamas established their covenant in 1988, that their preamble was to obliterate the state of Israel? That is what they want. They want to obliterate the state of Israel. That is what they stand for. They didn't come in there fighting for some type of justice or land. They want to get rid of the Jews. And one more last point. They use Israel as an excuse for anti-Semitism. They hate the Jewish people. That is a fact. And I think we've got to come to terms with these facts to understand, because if we keep walking around it, we're not going to be able to resolve it.
Let me bring us to the moment at hand right now. I want to pull up a tweet from our friend and colleague Trey Yings, who I think has, his finger on the pulse of what's happening there. And he says, "It's critical that Palestinian civilians have access to food and water in Gaza. War crimes must not be met with war crimes." Guy, I say it's an impossible situation because, look, Israel has to defend itself, right? What happened was horrific. It was a terrorist attack. They have to respond. They have to show strength because their future depends on it. But they're faced with a challenge that more than half of the population in Gaza is under 18 years old. You're talking about kids who had nothing to do with electing Hamas, had nothing to do with this. How do they navigate this?
is impossible. That's the right word, because Israel cannot tolerate this threat anymore. After what happened a week ago Saturday, they cannot tolerate Hamas having control over that parcel of land right on their border, because it was devastating and lethal to their own people. And you have an enemy in Hamas that at every turn goes out of its way to maximize the possibility of human collateral when Israel responds in a righteous way. They force people to stay in their homes. They urge them not to evacuate when Israel tells them to. Israel drops, they call them roof knock, warnings on buildings before they destroy them to let civilians get out. That almost never enters the discourse about the way that Israel tries to avoid human tragedy while also trying to defend themselves. When you have an enemy that is that devious and that evil, where they prize their own people's and their own children's dead bodies over everything else because it's a propaganda win, that creates just a panoply of horrible choices for Israel. And they are trying to make the least bad choices. And I think that we should give them pretty wide berth to make those calls, because they're very tough.
And I think, Sara, you hit the nail on the head, because I was going to ask you, since you were at some of these pro-Palestinian protests in New York, a lot of passion, a lot of tension. You and I know the long history of the Palestinians, going all the way back to the Ottoman Empire and the collapse of the empire. It is tough to have a nuanced conversation with someone who is starting the conversation with, we have to eliminate Israel. You can't, that's a non-starter.
It's a non-starter. You're absolutely right, Aisha. This is a situation that our government, I think, has never been challenged in modern history. This is a geopolitical shift in the world. What is happening in Israel right now, I think, is going to require people to take a step back, to really think through how do we proceed, because the end of this result of this war could be something horrific. Go ahead, Will.
Yeah, I think every single person watching, every single one of us sitting on this set, and I think most people would develop policy in Israel would want to do everything they can to minimize civilian loss of life. I think, again, to not to just underline what you both have said about the impossibility, it's war. And the reality of war is you have an objective. The objective is to destroy Hamas, and you can't let an enemy that will try to maximize those civilian losses get in the way of your objective, which is winning a war.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.